Hey, how are you? I'm Jeremy. This is a Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. Thank you so much for tuning in. Got a few things, and some of them kind of make me grumpy. I'll try not to be grumpy. You know what? You know what the world needs? The world needs more love and fewer big fat jerks. Okay? Just going to throw that out there. The family of a Kiss roadie who died of COVID on tour in 2021 has filed a lawsuit against the band alleging wrongful death. So apparently Kiss is responsible for COVID. I think I'm going to file a lawsuit against Kiss too for, hemorrhoids. I don't know. I'm sure they had something to do with it. So apparently the band is responsible for a guy dying from COVID. Pisses me off. Franz Stuber was Paul Stanley's guitar tech for 2 decades. He died of the COVID and he's suing Kiss. Okay. All right. Warrant, where the down boys go. Warrant had a good, they had a good, 2-album run. They had there were some catchy stuff. I kind of liked them. I was working in radio at the time, and I remember that album when it came out, 89. What is it? Filthy, Rotten, Stinky, Rich, whatever it's called. It's a great album. Love that album. Personally, I preferred that more than the later stuff with Cherry Pie and everything, but good stuff. So why are they in the news? Well, they received an early boost from a high-profile donor. You might recognize this guy's name, Prince. Prince gave Warrant $5,000 in the fall of 87. So this is like, their big album came out, their debut album came out in 89. In 87, he gave him $5,000 to cut a demo. And he had the first right of refusal, which means, hey, you guys make this demo. If I like it, then I get to sign you to my label. What was the Paisley Park Records? Was that his label at the time? And so they did. They recorded the demo, and Prince exercised his first right of refusal and decided not to sign them to the label. And Prince said reportedly, he watch footage of the band, and he said, quote, "This white kid can sing and the band has potential, but that MFer can't dance." So he passed on signing Warrant. But then Warrant bassist Jerry Dixon says, quote, "He passed on us, dude. So we asked our manager, could you ask Mr. Prince if we can use the demo to shop to another label?" And of course he let him do that. And the rest is history. They eventually were signed by Columbia for their Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich album. And that's not an uncommon thing. Van Halen, remember Gene Simmons financed Van Halen's demo, and then he let them shop it, and that's how they landed their label. Jackson Browne didn't really give Stevie Ray Vaughan money for a demo, but he gave them free use of his studio to cut their demo and I think maybe record their first album. That's not an uncommon thing where another artist will front someone that they think is talented the money to cut a demo, and then they'll later use that to shop for a record deal. But that's cool that Prince helped him out like that. I thought that was awesome. Good news for Black Sabbath fans that just can't stop spending money on Black Sabbath stuff, even though they already have all the albums. I won't mention any names, but Black Sabbath is re-releasing their classic Ozzy Osbourne era albums once again, but this time picture discs. So you can get picture discs. It's a new box set called Hand of Doom, and it features the first 8 Black Sabbath albums, and they'll all feature the album cover on side A of the record. Then on the back side, you'll either get the back of the album artwork or a band picture from the era. It just kind of depends on which album you're talking about. Did you ever have any picture discs? I had the Ozzy Osbourne Mr. Crowley picture disc. I also had the Boston, the debut album picture disc. I still have those kicking around somewhere. I gotta find those. Picture discs are cool. So there you go. If you're looking for the A Christmas gift for the Black Sabbath fan. There you go. Former Jethro Tull guitarist Martin Barre has spoken out about his breakup with Ian Anderson. I don't know all the details. Do you guys know why Ian and Martin broke up? Have you heard? Was there drama? No one here knows. Anyways, they broke up. And so now kind of some KK Downing vibe going on. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Former Jethro Tull guitarist Martin Barre has spoken out about his break with the band, claiming that his absence from the lineup since 2012 has diluted the Jethro Tull brand. So let's think about this for a bit. I'm not trying to be snarky about this. Realistically, guys, since 2012, has Jethro Tull really done anything of note? I guess they put stuff out. Has anyone? I mean, realistically, Jethro Tull I'm going to really get in trouble. As a viable unit ended in when was that, when they won the Grammy? 89? Remember when they won the Grammy and beat Metallica for the Grammy and everyone pooped their pants? By the way, that is a great album. It is. Should it have been in the heavy metal category? No, but it is a great album. But really, so 90s, that's the last time that my point is they've really been diluted for a long time. Okay, way before 2012. But Martin's point is the band has been diluted since he left in 2012. Well, yeah, they were diluted before then because it really didn't do anything. Oh, well. But, he has a point. The classic Tull stuff is with Martin Barre. Okay. I mean, Aqualung, all the classic Tull stuff we all know and love. Yeah, it all features Martin Barre. So he's right in that point. He says, quote, "It's a shame, before going on to draw." Okay, let me read this again. This is from the Vintage Rock podcast, by the way, which is a great podcast. He said, "It's a shame, before going on to draw comparisons with several iconic partnerships, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, I'm not saying that we're in that league, but me and Ian had a connection, much more than music, and it's gone forever, and that's really sad." He continues, "I always say to people, it's the worst business decision that was ever made in the history of Jethro Tull. I guess getting rid of him. Was he canned? Did he quit? And if he quit, then he was the one that made the business. I don't know. There's a lot of questions I have about this because you look around and you see people doing these huge tours. It's not just about the money, but the attention they get. And the brand is now so diluted. It's a real shame. And I feel that the way it's been diluted has an impact on us all. So I would like to get the scoop. I don't know if there was drama around him leaving. Was he canned? Did he leave on his own? If he left on his own, then it's a KK Downing situation. Well, then why'd you leave, dude? Okay, I don't know. I need to find. I'm going to do my commitment to you, the home viewer. I'm going to dig into that, see what I can find out about that. Ian Anderson's point is that, hey, if we're doing, it's me, right? I'm the flautist. I've got the leotards on, right? As long as I'm there, it's Tull. As long as I'm there and we're doing Tull catalog, it's Jethro. Whatever. Okay. Okay. Kind of on a sad note. And is this classic rock? I don't care. On this date, way back in 1997, John Denver died when his experimental airplane crashed in Monterey Bay, ran out of gas. It's tragic when anyone dies, whatever the circumstances, but he ran out of gas. John Denver, not often associated with classic rock, but to me, I don't know if you feel this way. John Denver was a huge part of my childhood. I grew up listening to John Denver. I watched the PBS specials of John Denver. He was a phenomenally talented musician, songwriter, and I still love putting on a John Denver album. And he's just a phenomenally talented guy. And this will sound funny. John Denver and Randy Rhoads were the two celebrity deaths that had the biggest impact on me. But he is still missed. Imagine what we could still be getting from John Denver if he were still alive. And we could say that about any of these artists that we've lost too soon. He was 53 when he died. So still young. I mean, he could very easily he'd be in his 70s now, maybe approaching 80. But yeah, a tragic loss. And it was in 1997 that happened. An interesting note about John Denver, and someone on the Twitter page reminded me, I had forgotten all about this. Remember the whole PMRC thing back in the 80s when they were trying to put warning labels on albums, and it was really just kind of a campaign against free speech, really. That's what it was. And how's this for a lineup? Frank Zappa, Dee Snider, and John Denver all testified before Congress. And I remember Dee Snider, I recently saw a pod, can't remember the podcast. Sorry, I can't. Might have been on Eddie Trunk. Can't remember. But Dee Snider is talking about that. And he said he was able to meet Frank Zappa beforehand, and they kind of talked about what they'd be talking about, but they didn't get a chance to talk with John Denver before the testimony. And so they were both kind of worried because, at the time in the 80s, I mean, here's John Denver, Mr. PBS, Mr. All-American Boy, light adult contemporary country music, John Denver. And they're like, is he going to be on the side of these politicians trying to ban us? What's the problem? How's he going to? Well, if you watch John Denver's testimony, he was very against censorship and very much coming from the same place as Zappa and Dee Snider. And Dee Snider says, one of my big regrets is I never had the chance to shake John Denver's hand and meet him after all that, because they weren't testifying at the same time. They never got to meet John Denver, but he was very appreciative of John Denver's responses and how he testified in Congress and all that. Just kind of an interesting little side note. But John Denver, phenomenal talent, and definitely a loss that I felt from the music world. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll see you. Take care. Bye-bye.